Okay, I have no idea what we're doing here. Alright, I'm lying. I know exactly what we're doing here. And I'm probably gonna hate it.
And I'm just along for the ride.
Oh yeah, you're along for the ride, more or less. Me, I went through a special kind of hell over the weekend. So,
and, and let's just clarify, Andrew still isn't showing up. Hopefully he's okay, and we'll be doing stuff by ourselves, us two Brandons, and a guest until he comes back. So hey, we'll have material for you until he returns. So no worries.
oh, and Andrew, if you're listening to this, I am so sorry for the ear rape you're listening to right now.
Yeah, he usually does our sound editing, and since he hasn't been around, it may sound less than perfect. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. Alright, on to the reason that we're actually here right now.
Yay.
Holy crap. Alright.
So, you know how Death Note was an awesome series? He saw the movie that came out on Netflix.
Yes, I did. I saw it. Some
And it
people
was
might ask me, why did I see it?
and it wasn't against his will. He willfully watched it.
I did, in fact, willfully watch it. I watched it with a bunch of friends, which I thought would make it better. And to an extent, it did. To an extent. Um, I will not even try to deny the fact that we most definitely paused it multiple times during the playthrough to just, like, clarify things as we went. So, actually, Brandon, I need to ask you this first.
Okay, since I'm going to be the Andrew in this situation,
I just want to ask you, alright,
mhm,
uh, what is your history with Death Note? Like, how much of the series do you know?
I watched all of it when it was on Adult Swim,
Mm-hmm.
but I've only seen little clips here and there since then. And I when was it on Adult Swim? Like 2011, 2012, sometime in there.
Sometime around there,
Yeah,
yeah. It
so it's been
wasn't
a
long after, it wasn't long after Toonami, went down the first time.
yeah, so it's been a while since I saw it. So I may not remember all of it, but I do remember a good chunk of it.
Alright, that should be plenty for this then. Because I think I know I watched it while it was airing on Adult Swim as well. Uh, and because, it's Adult Swim or any, TV broadcasting site, they can't just put it in order. They got to keep rewinding it every few weeks
Hmm.
and then just replaying those same episodes again and again.
Yeah.
So I think like a year or so after that, I think I watched the whole thing through online.
Hmm.
All right, so that just like, how did you feel about Death Note actually?
I
Just.
loved it. It was like a really good anime, like well written,
Mhm.
and I don't want to get too much into it, or will this be like a typical Brandon discuss anime where we just gloss over the facts, or will we go a little bit more in depth?
I would say that this is probably just going to be like here or there, like wherever it seems poignant
Okay,
to bring it up.
but yeah, but I just like the intelligence of the characters.
Hmm.
Something that I heard doesn't show up in the movie.
Oh, it shows up. It shows up, all right.
Is
Oh
that
boy.
sarcasm? Is that
No,
sarcasm?
no, I will. It legitimately shows up.
Okay, because it seemed that like the thought battle of well, not like psychic thought battle because that would just be weird.
Mm-hmm.
I mean like just like the mental battle between Light and L just
Mm-hmm.
seems to be like so compelling. It's like a game of chess.
Yeah,
Play with your play with your mind.
yeah, I know what you mean. That's my favorite part. Just seeing the back and forth between these two characters and how they try to outmaneuver each other.
Yeah, and like the tennis match
Mm-hmm.
scene that I saw recently, it's like Elle's asking him, like Elle's like, "Okay, I'm going to play tennis with you," and Light is debating whether to win or lose because whether he wins or loses, might give L insight on the fact that he is here.
Yes. All right, so I think I'm just gonna dive into the movie at this point because, dear
And,
God.
and the one thing that I did like about like the live action movie, that the bits I saw, they kept some of L's mannerisms down, which, and I know they probably did it for different reasons, but the fact L like squats when he sits, I'm like, okay, they got that part, quote unquote, right. Ryuk still looked like Ryuk, and in the clips of the movie I saw, he does seem creepy and not quite menacing, but he does have that Ryukness to him.
I'll say this: you've named the two best parts of the movie for
Oh,
someone that
okay.
has seen the anime.
Yeah,
They.
because I've heard Ryuk's actor, James Spader,
Mhm.
is like one of the best parts of the live action movie. Like in some of the reviews I saw, they were just praising James Spader as possibly maybe the best character in the entire movie.
The thing is, he doesn't really do much.
Okay.
Like, you know how Ryuk's kind of like a background character for most of the anime? How he's just kind of like sitting around just being like, this is interesting. I just want to sit here and watch this go down, for the
Yeah,
most part.
but from what I understand, he's more of an active role, encouraging Light to kill.
Mm, yes and no. There's different points. He does play more of an active role, yes. Not so much encouraging death
Mm-hmm.
as he is doing other things in general.
Oh,
But
and yeah, and just getting sidetracked on one thing before you continue to rant. One part that I didn't like is the horror-esque movie death for people, like decapitation.
there
Like,
aren't many of those. There's
oh,
only, I
okay,
think, like two that are outright horror movie-esque deaths.
okay, so they're mostly the typical heart attack deaths, or
Not even. Like, I think there's only one heart attack in the entire thing. Most of the deaths just happen off screen.
oh my god, that's dumb.
Like, you get a montage of, like, random, like, horrific accidents and shit.
Yeah.
Like, you see, like, television broadcasts of things going down. You don't see the actual death.
Yeah, because like Heart Attack was Kira's calling card in the
Uh-huh.
anime,
Yeah.
but now that they don't do it as much, I'm kind of like, you're taking away part of the character, maybe.
Part of the legacy, I guess, of what
Hmm.
Kira is or does would be the better
Hmm.
way of putting it. But yeah. But like I said, yes, Ryuk, the actor who plays Ryuk, does really damn well with what he's given. Same with the person
Hmm.
that plays L. Like, as far as nailing L as a person, until a certain point in the movie, they nail it perfectly. Like, yes, he's black, all right,
Hmm.
but they also have changed the setting from Japan to Seattle.
Hmm.
So rather than I've heard some people say it's whitewashing, and at first I agreed until I actually saw the movie and realized that they'd done. It's
Hmm.
more Americanizing, I guess you could say. Is the
And
better term.
it wasn't L white, or I know he was like British, but was he half British or full British?
He was like 4/4 was essentially what he was. He was like Russian, British, American, and I think the other quarter was Japanese. So he may
Oh,
as well have
okay.
been a white man by the end of it.
Oh, okay. So
But he's
I
black in
get.
this, so they chose like the one race that doesn't seem to make sense. Granted, the actor does very, very well. So if based on acting chops alone, the man is L as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to
Okay,
get a live action L,
so it's kind of like he is L, but it's the writing's fault that makes it bad. Like his acting isn't bad.
his his acting as the character of L is very, very good. And up until a certain point in the movie, which I think is like the last quarter, he's
Hmm.
really damn good. But yes,
Okay,
the
so
writing also has its faults.
yeah, so you would say if I want to watch it for the movie, watch it for Ryuk and L.
Well, as an anime person, yes, watch it for Ryuk and L, or just out of morbid curiosity. Like,
Okay.
this isn't Dragon Ball Evolution bad.
Which I haven't seen.
Yes, but you've heard how terrible it is.
Yes, I've heard it's
We all have.
just about as bad as the live-action Avatar movie.
Yep.
And I don't mean the James Cameron one.
No, of course not.
They're still talking about sequels for those.
I've heard that apparently the second one's in the works, but we're getting off topic here.
When do we ever stay on topic?
We're trying to, alright? We're trying so hard. Alright, so...
Please, rant.
Alright, so the first part of the movie is basically one of the most ridiculous setups I've ever seen. Like, it's so played out and stupid, because you see it in almost every single stupid movie. Where it's like, oh, you got the bullies who don't talk like actual human beings that are bullying this girl, and oh, the main character's got to stand up to the bullies only to fail in the end and get pity from the girl. That's essentially, you know, the first 10 minutes of the movie, and it's just like, why? Why do this? Now, here's one of the points that differs from the anime, and I know I'm going to say this a lot, and I know I probably shouldn't, because it is trying to be its own thing, but I don't think it tries hard enough to be its own thing. One of the main differences, like, you remember how the Death Note first shows up in the series.
Ryuk's bored, he's like, I'm gonna have some fun with some humans.
Well, the thing is, like, we don't even get that from Ryuk in this. We get directly to the point where the Death Note is dropped into the human world. That's it. That's the first introduction that we get from this movie. So, remember how it's dropped into the real world. It's kind of far off, and Light just happens to notice it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, it's basically dropped directly in his lap.
Oh.
Like, in the series, it's basically saying, like, oh, hey, I just happened to notice this, but any Joe Schmo could have seen it dropping and just walked over to find it. In this one, like, Light is sitting there doing homework or something, he's writing in a notebook, while he's sitting on top of, like, a picnic bench, and it drops right next to the side of the picnic bench. So, to me, that's like, no, Ryuk has straight up selected this kid at this point. He's not just dropped it in to see where it goes. He selected this kid.
Has it been implied that, probably not, but that Ryuk's been watching him?
No, not at all. Now, that's the first problem I have, and it's like, no, Ryuk has straight up selected him because it's dropped immediately next to him. It's not Light has just noticed it, or somebody has just noticed it, and just walked off to see what the hell just dropped out of the sky. No, it's essentially put in his lap. And he picks it up, he looks at it, tucks it in his backpack without really thinking about it, and that's when we get into the next 10 minutes of just bully shit. Which is so dumb.
So what happens if he would have been like, oh, magic notebook from the sky? Not my problem, and just walks away. Would Ryuk be like, you know what? I'm going to try again. Pick up the book and just, like, chucks it at Light.
Maybe, or maybe he'd have just let it sit there until somebody else noticed it, because he picks it up and starts walking off because it starts raining.
Oh, okay.
But, anyway. Also, let me just point out that instead of Light Yagami, who is the series name of the protagonist,
Light Turner!
We have Light Turner. Yes, let's go ahead and insert our Fairly Odd Parents spin-off series here.
That's the biggest, that's one of the most recurring things I heard about it.
There's literally a spoof version of the Fairly Odd Parents intro that's based around the entirety of the series. It's beautiful.
Oh.
If nobody's seen it, go look it up. It's great.
And as much as I dislike Fairly Odd Parents, I will have to watch that.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's great. But anyway, back to the actual movie, which is not so great. Alright, where do I go from here? So, we get a scene after Light's, getting home, I don't know if I should just start calling him Turner at this point or not, because it's gonna get confusing if we start going back and forth between anime and this
You
adaptation.
know, if you do call him Turner, can you use that what was his name? The evil teacher voice.
Mr. Crocker.
Yeah, that was his name.
I mean, Turner. Is that what we're looking for?
maybe.
I don't know. I feel like that'll get old soon.
Okay.
But no. Anyway, I'm just gonna start calling him Turner now because it's gonna be so much easier for me. But
Yeah.
probably for everyone else listening. Anyway, so Turner goes home, like after dealing with the principal a little bit because of the fight he had with the bully.
Mhm.
And of course, the bully gets off scot-free, who would obviously not be punished in any way, shape, or form, even though you have the girl who witnessed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes home, he talks to his dad, and his dad's like, "Why'd you get that punch in the face? You got like a black eye or whatever."
Yeah, and is his dad involved with the police in this version?
He is. However, this is the more interesting part, and this is where I'll give the movie some props, alright? So, in the actual series, Light Yagami does not have any real reason to use the Death Note, to immediately jump to the idea of, I'll make this world perfect and make it, a perfect world where there's no crime, no criminals exist, right? He doesn't legitimately have a reason to start off thinking like that right away. Light Turner, however, does. You see, the movie sets up, and they don't go into very specific details about it, but the movie does set up that Light's mother died.
You mean Turner's mother died?
Light Turner's mother died, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she died to somebody, we don't really know. We assume he's some kind of crime boss or some member of a crime family of some kind. And Light points out, like, you should have tried to take him down, but instead you let him get out of jail with money. He should have been behind bars, if not in the electric chair or what have you. So Light's got, a predisposition to go into there with the Death Note and take out criminals. Whereas the series version does not.
And what made Light Yagami want to use the Death Note?
I believe it was just his way of thinking at the time. I don't remember what his motivation to do that was.
I think it was to test it and see, does this really work?
That, I believe, was his first initial plan. I did forget to mention probably the best part of this entire setup before he comes home, actually. I did forget this. So...
when he meets Ryuk.
When he meets Ryuk.
Instead of being like, oh, so you're Shinigami. I've been expecting you.
I mean, Light does freak out a little bit in the anime, but nowhere near to the extent and ridiculousness of Light Turner.
Was it Narm levels?
Probably beyond.
Beyond Narm.
Also, Ryuk makes a ridiculous entrance that I don't think he's ever made in the anime series.
Okay.
Where he's like, it's like he's being summoned into the room somehow, and there's just shit flying everywhere between papers. And this is a science lab, so there's beakers and shit getting knocked over.
I think I saw that scene.
And it's just why? This, as far as I know, this did never happen in the series. There's no idea that this would ever happen. Also, one of the interesting things that brings Light over there is that apparently a jar of marbles, for whatever reason, is in a science lab, drops, hits the floor, and the marbles just roll out toward him. Why there's a jar of marbles in a science lab, I don't know. Why it happened to drop? Whether Ryuk was just ooh, what happens if I push this off real quick? And knocks it over, just so he can have his special fancy intro sequence.
A jar of marbles in the room sounds like something my old physics teacher back in high school used to do.
Yeah, but it's back there with... it's back with all the scientific preserved specimens.
Oh,
it's
okay.
It's not even on the teacher's desk or something. It's just back with the scientific preserves. And I don't know why.
Okay, yeah, because I just remember my old physics teacher dropping a bowling ball at chest level to demonstrate gravity.
Mm-hmm.
He was eccentric.
Hey, look, I'm not going to question the man's methods. It makes sense. He proves a good point. Now, that's ridiculous enough as it is, but then, Ryuk starts prompting Light to use the Death Note, because he's in detention at that point. That's where he is. Not in class. He's in detention. And he keeps prompting him, oh, you should use the notebook. And they look out the window, and there's this girl getting picked on by the same bullies that, beat Light up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Turner is just sitting there like, And he's like, come on, you should write his name in it. See what happens. Eventually, after some convincing, Light writes the name in it and writes decapitation as the method of death.
Oh.
Which ends up being, Final Destination level bullshit. Where you have, this random sequence of events that leads to a pickup truck that has, those racks on it that you set, ladders on. Just happening to, steer off the road, hit a car, and all of a sudden, the ladders, which apparently are ridiculously sharp in this, I don't know how, fly forward and decapitate the guy from the jaw up.
Why would they be sharpened ladders on a truck?
I don't know! It makes no sense. Those ladders, there's no way those are sharp enough to slice through something. They can crush your skull, sure. But they're not gonna fucking decapitate you. And plus, it's a freaking, Rube Goldberg machine of triggering this event to happen. It's ridiculous. From, somebody's pets to, a ball to, I don't know, something that causes it to swerve off the road to crash into another car and cause the ladder to fly off the roof. I don't get it. I really don't.
Are you sitting down? Because it sounds like you should be.
Yes, I'm sitting down. I don't know why I wasn't standing.
Okay. I can just imagine you standing, frantically pacing angrily back and forth.
Look, don't tempt me, because I might. Now, alright, so I've described him, talking to his dad there, to which he angrily grabs an apple as he's walking away off of, a side table, which, I don't know, I've never seen apples just sitting out in a tray, in a dish anywhere, in a house. Normally, I see them in,
Shinigami love apples.
Normally, well, yeah, but we're in Seattle. They don't know about Shinigami. They just call him Death God. Well, that's what Ryuk calls himself, is a Death God.
Okay, but Death Gods love apples.
Yeah, but Americans don't know that. The only reason Light knows, Mr. Turner at least, knows anything about this is because of fucking Ryuk telling him. He grabs the apple, and he just brings it with him. He sets it on his desk. And again, like I said, I don't know why there's a bowl of apples just sitting on a side table. I don't usually see fruit laying out like that. Normally, I see fruit in a fridge or something. Or if maybe you have a party, you set out some fruit like that.
Okay.
Anyway, ignoring the random bowl of fruit that's just there so Light can grab an apple, and we can have our whole apple thing going on again. Because, apples representing the whole first sin and all that bullshit, which I don't even know if what Light's doing at this point is considered a sin. Anyway, he takes the apple, he's staring at the Death Note, thinking, what the hell do I do? He sets the apple apparently in front of his closet, which is where Ryuk is staying now, I guess. Because you just see Ryuk's arm reach out, grab the apple, and you just see, a second later, the core fly out toward Light.
Does he still get, some orgasmic reaction from the apple?
He's in the dark, I don't know. This is the only time I think we see him actually eating the apple.
Okay, because, in the anime, Shinigami apples are, crap, while Earth apples are, the best thing ever.
Keep in mind, they don't actually show you the Shinigami world ever in this movie. You never see it. Also, this movie does not do the entire series. It only does up to, the first third, I'd say. So, yeah, his father is definitely, I believe he's not the police chief, but he is a cop within the police department. But yeah, Dad's just oh, well, what was the one quote he gave out? It was something like, you gotta make sure your aim is pointed in the right direction, or something like that. So whatever, it's pointless, I guess. Light's eventually like reading the book. He tries out because he's watching TV at this point, and there's some kind of holdup, I believe. And he writes down the name of the person that's doing the holdup, and said person just shoots himself in the head. No heart attack, just shoots himself in the head. He like salutes and shoots himself in the head. That's it. That's it.
Why?
Oh no, I lie. All right, I lie. This does happen, but that's not what happens here. I'm sorry. It has been a couple days since I've watched it, so slightly fuzzy on sequence of events. Because they were talking about his mother's killer, he writes down his mother's killer's name. And I believe he says impalement as the way of death in this one. I believe that was the word that was written down. What ends up happening is another Rube Goldberg-esque thing, because the guy's apparently eating dinner at the time. And again, random sequence of events that leads to a fork stabbing him through the throat. Why we're making it Final Destination, I don't know why.
And because he was a mob boss, he had to be eating pasta.
Soup, I believe, at the time.
Oh, and that was the worst impression of a mobster ever.
Yeah, you got to do a little better there, bud.
I'm not.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not the voice guy. You are.
It's fine. It's fine. A little pizza pasta. You'll learn. You'll do good. You'll do good, kid. Anyway, yeah, he dies. To which Light is like, "Oh my god, I'm so cool!" So then we get the scene of him like staring at the death note, contemplating what to do, what to write. I believe, while he's in gym class. He's like sitting on the bleachers. Everybody else is doing gym. He's just sitting there with his textbooks and shit. And you remember Misa Amane from the anime, don't you?
Yeah, cute model, was she?
I think she was an idol, actually.
Okay, yeah, that's right. She was an idol.
Was good for about maybe half the series, and then she kind of just faded in the background. In this case, we have Mia, not Misa.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing, right? We have Light Turner in the series, and we have Light Yagami. We have Light Yagami in the series and Light Turner in this movie. Why'd you name him Light? You could have named him anything else. If you wanted to make an homage to the original character, name him Dwight. Have a name that rhymes. Because otherwise people are going to constantly draw parallels between these two characters. And just compare and contrast them. Like, they took Misa and made Mia. You have two different characters then.
Yeah, and I heard Mia is completely different.
Oh, most definitely. Like, she is drastically a different character compared to Misa. Like, I'll get into it. Basically, Light basically looks at her. She's the one that he actually tried to save in that first 10-minute sequence. She asked what he's doing. He's like, I can't tell you. And then 5 seconds later, do you really want to know? I have this notebook that can kill people. I'm just like, why? What are you doing? You just said you couldn't! So then we go through the sequence of, let's prove this to her after school, which is when we get the guy shooting himself in the head. And then we go on a sequence of them, I'm just going to assume, banging at this point, while they're montaging writing names in the death note. I don't know if it's meant to, give you an idea of a time skip, because if it does, it's only a few months, I'd say. If it's not, then they just went on a wild killing spree while having sex. Like, is he doing her doggy style and just writing in the death note using her back as a desk? Is that what's going on here?
And with one hand, I write names in the notebook, and with the other hand, I grab her tit.
I mean, do you do that, or do you eat a potato chip while your lower half is doing her?
I was
you,
go
you
I was
gotta
go
keep you gotta keep your energy up, man.
I was just about to bring up potato chip. I was just about to bring that up.
You gotta have the bag in one hand, the pen in the other, the book on her back, and you're just going to town. Keep every part of your body busy. Oh
And I
dear
just
God.
realized I'm not timing this,
It
so I
doesn't
have
matter. Well, it'll last as long as it lasts.
yeah.
Oh God. So yeah, during that montage, we see random acts of devastation. Whether it's like buildings collapsing, we see like a train crash or the aftermath of a train crash. To which my mind is like, wow, there are sure a lot of casualties in this. And this is one of the points where we had to stop because they're like, no, there are no casualties unless your name is written in the death note. Anyone else that would potentially be involved will only be maimed. So they won't
Hmm.
die, but they might not have any limbs, or they might just be brain dead. But they're still technically alive. Now, keep that.
What?
Yeah, no, that is literally that is a rule from the series as well.
Oh.
Like anyone that could
Oh.
potentially be involved in the death of a person whose name is written in the death note, the worst thing that could possibly happen to them is they are maimed. They won't die, but they can be maimed.
I must have forgotten that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that in the manga? Because I did not read the manga.
I don't know about the manga. I couldn't tell you, but I know that because my friend Louis was with me when I watched this, and this was something he brought up to me. Like, no, like depending on how you word things in the Death Note, certain things will work, certain things won't work. Like, uh, if you write down something along the lines of somebody, like let's say I write your name, right? Let's say I write Brandon Horvath shoots this person and then shoots himself. I
Mm-hmm.
don't specify the person dies.
Oh.
So it means that gunshot will probably shoot you anywhere that's non-lethal. It could shoot you in
Mm.
the arm, it could shoot you in like the eye, anything that will not be lethal is game.
Mm.
But you will then shoot yourself.
Mm. And
So
that would be fatal.
you will shoot yourself, but the person you end up shooting right before that could be shot anywhere that's not lethal.
Mm.
Or
Yeah.
at the very least, it could be lethal, but you'll immediately get help to save your life.
Okay. Okay. And there's certain things that don't work, like um, Jimmy Andrews will write the French Pledge of Allegiance before he dies, and then shoots himself in the head. And if he doesn't know the French Pledge of Allegiance, he will just shoot himself then?
Uh, no, that'll work. It has to be physically possible, is the thing.
Okay, but what if he doesn't know? If you tell him to do something before he dies and he is incapable of doing that,
Then
what will happen?
I assume he will do the closest thing possible to it. So
Okay, like,
he'll sing the
write the
French.
American.
He'll sing like the American Pledge of Allegiance, or he'll sing the French Pledge of Allegiance, but Americanized, like with American words rather than in French.
Oh, okay.
However closely he can replicate what is written down, so long as it is
Okay.
technically physically possible.
Okay, so even if he doesn't know the French Pledge of Allegiance, he will recite it?
He will do it as closely as possible as he can physically do himself.
Okay.
Like,
Even if he doesn't know anything about that.
even if he doesn't, he will do the closest thing he can possibly do to it.
Oh,
Thing.
okay.
Again,
Huh.
as long as it's physically possible. Like, what was it? In the movie, Ryuk basically states, look, it needs to be physically possible. Any of the deaths need to have a physical possibility of being done. For instance, you can't have a shark bite a guy's ass and kill him while he's sitting on the toilet. Like, sure, technically you could, actually. You could. I would argue you could. Because the shark could come up from the bottom, and if the person's sitting on a toilet that's on a boat,
Hmm.
technically I would say it is possible.
Okay.
However, you might have to specify that the person goes out on a boat. With a
Okay.
toilet. But yes, there is another thing that they do set up that this does not exist as far as I'm aware. It might exist in the manga, but I don't know for certain as I've never read the manga.
Neither
But
have
it
I.
does not exist in the series. I know that much. And it's that if you write a name in the Death Note, you can burn the page. If the person, you can burn the page, and if you do so before the person kills themselves, it will void their death.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I just think that's dumb.
Yeah, I believe so too. I also only get each owner of the Death Note only gets to do that once.
Oh, so it's not like
You can't
permanent.
infinitely do it. You only get one.
Okay, that's less dumb.
It's still dumb to me because it's like
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
like they already technically had a way out of it written in the series, which was you write your name 4 times. I forget if that's just once or if that's anyone, so long as you write the name 4 times in a row.
Mm.
But anyway, getting back to the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, we have this entire montage. I assume time passes because apparently, this is the point where Kira's getting his following, I guess.
Yeah, and since Japantown, like Little Tokyo, calls him Kira, that's how he got his name.
Well, not even Little Tokyo. He comes up with Kira, based on a couple of things. I think it's Latin was one of them, is that Kira means killer in Latin. And he also says, well, in Japan as well, it kind of leads like this. It technically means killer as well. So if they're looking for Kira, they're looking on the wrong continent.
Oh.
Well, then we get to the point where L starts showing up, and he starts, deducing things literally seconds. It takes him seconds to start deducing who's where and what's going on.
So he's better than Japanese L?
I disagree that he's better. More like the writing doesn't help here, because the way he comes to his conclusions are very strange. If you take some time to think about the way he does it, it doesn't make sense. Some do. For instance, the way he tracks it back to L, or not to L, the way L tracks it back to Turner, it's because the kill that he did to show Misa that he could actually kill people with the Death Note was done on a local broadcast in Seattle. So he was able to pinpoint the city based on that information.
Oh.
However, there are still flaws with that, because who knows if he was just breezing by the city at that point. He could have just been walking by on the street, saw the news feed in a TV store, and just been like, oh, I'll take care of that. But yes, there are some leaps in logic here that there are problems with if you take a minute to think about it. But yes, no, they nail L's way of acting and shit, and his weird ways of doing things. He holds the phone in that weird way.
I thought he didn't.
It's weird. He holds the phone twice in the movie. The first time he holds it, he seems to hold it normally. The second time, however, he's holding it in the way he does in the series.
Okay.
So it's kind of inconsistent. But he still has that oral fixation where he's got to be eating something. In this case, it's almost always candy. I would have loved to have seen him have a cake or something and a fork and just start slowly eating it that way.
All menacingly.
All menacingly, yes.
Have you eaten this cake? It's delicious.
With the candy, he's just jamming it in his mouth. I'm I don't know if L would do that. He kind of does it methodically. He puts a single piece in his mouth after staring at it for 2 minutes. But it's no, you're still kind of doing it right, and I can understand, why you would be doing it this way. Kind of alter the character a little bit. The guy is black now, apparently. We also get introduced to Watari in this one. His butler person. Now, here's the other thing that's really dumb, is that Watari in the series, aside from L, is the only other person that is not Asian. Again, as far as I'm aware, I don't believe anyone else was not Asian.
And he's Asian in this one?
In this one, he is Asian. So everyone that was Asian in the series, is now some other ethnicity, white or otherwise. And Watari, who was supposed to be British in the series, is now Asian.
Why?
I don't know.
Maybe because his name sounds Asian, watery, and they didn't want to change it?
Yeah, but Watari was supposed to be a code name. Like L is a code name. It wasn't his real name in the series.
Oh.
Although in the movie, Watari is his real name. So, I
Oh.
mean, there's an argument there, I guess, if you were going to make Watari his real name. But it still seems weird of the whole, like, flipped ethnicities going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing, right? There's a point where Elle and Light,
Turner.
Turner meet up, and it's in a cafe, and there are other people around, right? And it gets
Mm-hmm.
really heated to the point where, like, Elle just knocks shit off the table, and you see people turn around and look at them all, and look at them. And there are multiple people in this bar or cafe or wherever they're doing
Mm-hmm.
this. So they gotta be careful of what they say, or people are gonna hear them. But no, they're loud as shit.
And I've heard Turner is not really denying that he may be Kira.
He doesn't outright deny it. More he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he's feigning confusion and stupidity. He doesn't deny it, but he feigns stupidity. Also, keep in mind that the Kira that, like, the Light Turner that we've been learning in here, we know he's book smart. He's not Light Yagami smart.
Oh, so he's not street smart too.
Like, let me put it this way. One of the things we find out early in the beginning of the film is that he was apparently doing homework for like 15 other kids, right?
Oh, okay.
Now, I just want you to think about, and he gets caught doing it, right? So I just want you to think for a second. Would this happen to Light Yagami?
No.
Now, why do you think that wouldn't happen to Light Yagami?
I'm going to say Yagami would be, quote, smarter than that, unquote, as not to get himself caught, because he would be able to think better.
You're not wrong. You're not
Yeah.
wrong. If you want like a more specific example, he would do some kind of contingency plan. He would either like write the words and the lettering on for the answers in like slightly different, handwriting, or he'd like print out the answers and be like, "Here you go, you write it, so this can't be traced back to me." Or he'd have some kind of contingency plan in place. Is the idea, right? To prevent himself from being caught, which we don't see with Turner. Again, this kind of separates the characters, but you kept the first name the same, thus we are forced to compare and contrast here. Because Light is such a strange name to begin with.
Yeah.
Even in the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
But, yes. Now, here's where we're getting into some more interesting things, because Mia starts saying, because the investigation is getting close to him, they have FBI agents stalking him. She's like, look, Light, you need to kill those FBI agents, otherwise they're gonna find us. You can't do anything unless they're gone. And he's basically like, no, I can't, because if I kill the one that's following us, it'll just make us look bad. And Mia's like, yeah, that's why you kill all of them. So, as you can see, Mia is a fucking bloodthirsty. Like, if anything, she's Kira in this, not Light Turner.
Is she in love with Turner or not?
She says she is. They had the sex. They're in love.
Yeah, but Misa, but Mia, Misa. Damn it, movie! I'm confusing names now. Yeah, but Misa was like fawning over Light, but it seems like Mia is using Light. I mean, using Turner.
Yes and no. In Misa's case, Misa fell in love with the idea of Kira, because Kira killed off the people that were going to rape her, I believe. Killing off someone that was threatening her, put it this way. I don't know if it was with murder or if it was with rape or something else. She's in love with the idea of Kira because of that. That's why she's all over Light, is because this is the man that saved me. He's obviously got to be a good man. I'll do anything for him because he saved my life. And, if he loves me in turn, great. Now, Mia, on the other hand, we get nothing but words and the acts of the sex. So, you can go ahead and take your own guesses at this point about which one's gonna be which. Anyway, Mia's basically saying you gotta kill him. Light refuses to do so. We then get a point where, Ryuk also during this, is constantly, berating Light, I guess, to a point, berating Turner. Just because of the idea of, look, if you can't do this shit, just bury the notebook for 7 days. You'll never have to worry about it again. I'll just give it to someone else. And he says this a few times during the film, just, trying to get, look, give it up, because you're not doing anything with it. I mean, I'll take it elsewhere. Somebody else can do it. You don't gotta worry. He also starts pointing out, I like that girl about Mia. So, all of a sudden we get a flash cut to the 12 FBI agents that have been, littered throughout the city, one of which was stalking Light, just waltzing themselves off the top of a building. When Light finds out, he rushes home and he's like, Ryuk, did you kill those 12 guys? He just looks back at him, and he doesn't even look back at him, actually. He's sitting at a table, and I assume he might be eating an apple again. I don't know, because he just goes, I told you something needed to be done. If you didn't want to do it, you should have just given me the notebook. So you're kind of left to assume that Ryuk did it. Then it turns out, what is it? Fucking...
Mia.
Not Mia, no. Light's dad comes out on, the press thing, and is like, look, we are not afraid of Kira, blah, blah, blah. Basically putting himself out there to be like, look, Kira, if you're gonna kill someone, I'm here, kill me, I'm threatening you. And Light refuses to kill his own dad. And I believe, what was it? The exact words are because Mia's there too, Mia's telling him, you need to kill your dad. Because otherwise, because they're insulting Kira. You can't insult who's supposed to be a god at this point. You can't do that. He needs to die. Light refuses to kill his own father. He even goes up to say, look, Mia, we can't keep doing this. We're not the good guys anymore. When were you ever the good guys? You're murdering people. Yes, they're people that deserve to die, but you're still murdering people. It's like if Light Yagami never, started being corrupted by the notebook, right?
Okay.
The idea of this ultimate power in his hands for Light Yagami is, his initial idea is, I'm just going to kill off the cardinals, make this a great new world, and slowly it starts generating into, no, I'm going to be the god of this new world.
Yeah.
Just completely and utterly getting corrupted and turning into a horrible human being by the end of the series. Granted, he gets his shit done, and does his job, at the cost of his humanity. But anyway, that's the series, not this one. We're not the good guys anymore. That bothers me, because it's this is where you draw the line with where you're doing things. Weren't you supposed to be the person that was going to make the world better? Yes, these people are standing in your way of doing that, but that means that you weren't willing to follow through on your promises and goals. You're just willing to throw it aside just at this one little speed bump here.
And I just realized we're getting a bit exposity with this.
Yeah, probably a little bit, but whatever. I'm ranting, alright? I'm ranting. I can't control myself. This rant view is continuing.
Yes, and I will allow it.
Oh, God, Alright, here's where we get to the interesting part. Because one of the things when Light and Elle first meet up in that cafe, if you think I'm Kira is something that Turner says, why don't you just shoot me now? Why don't you just kill me now? And Elle, one of the other things Elle says is I don't even carry a gun. Guns are distracting. So we get to the point where Light's like, look, I need to take out L. He's the biggest problem. He ends up, because he can't figure out what L's name is through his dad, because his dad's working with L and Watari, he figures out that Watari is like L's keeper, I guess, and writes down the idea of, hey, you're going to be obsessed with finding out what L's real name is, because he doesn't know it. He says, you will do anything you can to find L's name and come in contact with no one except for this number, which is the number that's, I believe, Light's cell phone, right? So here's the first problem with this. Watari, immediately upon this being a thing, contacts Light with a phone that is... I would be shocked if it was not tapped. Because L's supposed to be the greatest detective ever. You know, Sam's Batman. The fact that it would not be a tapped phone just blows my mind. Anyway, he tells Light, look, I don't know L's name. So he's like, you gotta go find it. He's like, the only way I can find it is if I go to, like, the orphanage where L was brought up and raised to be the greatest detective ever. It's like, well, okay, go do that. But in the series, that's in Britain. He'd have to go all the way to Britain.
Yeah.
In here, it's apparently in Montauk, New York, other side of the country. So, here's the best part, right? Because when we found this out, like, at the end of the movie, I, like, started questioning things, like, alright, there's no way, because you can only control someone for 48 hours with the Death Note before they have to die. My question, right, was how long does it take to get from Seattle, Washington to Montauk, New York? It takes, and I don't have a drum roll, but I wish I had one. Good enough. It takes a grand total of about 44 hours. That leaves him 4 hours to find that information on L's name. Right? And that's, right, because he drives. He can't contact anyone else. He can't, go and buy a ticket. He doesn't have the ability to do so because the Death Note says he cannot contact anyone. He cannot have contact with any other person. So he drove from Seattle to Montauk. He would have to also have, like, perfect traffic conditions. He'd have to have... And that's not even counting traffic conditions. That's not counting, like, stopping for gas. That's not counting any other shit, like inclement weather or what have you.
Sleep.
That's not counting sleep. Like, that is a straight drive, perfect conditions, 44 hours.
Ooh.
On top of that, he has to walk. Like, he gets to the orphanage area, which is completely abandoned, and he has to walk in. And I don't know how long of a walk he has to take to get to the building. He then sit back somewhere in the deep woods.
Okay.
Then he has to go ahead and, like, leaf through everything to find the information, which ends up, he does find it. Before he can relay that information over the phone, he's killed. So, Watari's dead. L is freaking the fuck out because he's dead. The people that shot him were FBI agents that were, also probably, like, because his time ran out, this just happened to be the way it went down. Like, L called them up and says, look, you need to find them, because he apparently realizes what's going on. And, like, look, he calls up the New York precinct and tells them to go look over there. He gets the information then that Watari has died. You see him flip open a fucking suitcase and pull out, like, this random-ass, futuristic, glowing-looking gun. And I'm like, didn't you say guns are fucking distracting? At the very least, that is a custom-made gun. You have a custom-made gun for yourself, but you don't carry one? You don't kill, I thought? What happened? Like, this is the point where they completely throw out everything that they have built up until this point with these characters. So, we have a chase down. Like, Light and Mia are at, like, prom at this point. What they end up finding out is that Mia was the one that killed the 12 FBI agents. She's the one who then writes Light's name in the Death Note in order to have Light give her the Death Note. That was the that was the thing. She would use her ability to burn the page to save his life.
Okay.
In return for him giving up ownership of the Death Note to her.
Okay. I have no idea where this is going.
Oh yeah, no, this is interesting because apparently, right? Because there's FBI agents that are still watching Light everywhere. During prom, he manages to slip out, do some information digging and shit, like just before he's being chased. Like you see him messing around on the computer for a bit. He's got the Death Note. And here's the best part, right? Here is the best part. He has the He has the Death Note. He has the page that has his name in it. He could just burn that page right then and there.
Why?
Like, he literally leaps through the book and sees his name in it. I'm like, you can burn that shit. You can get rid of it. This entire problem is moot. However, right?
Now I may need to start pacing angrily.
However, right, there is kind of a catch-22 here, I believe, if I recall correctly. Mia does have a single page of the Death Note herself. She could just rewrite his name.
Okay.
But she would never know until the 48 hours passed that Light had burned that page, to which Light could then just kill her.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm moving on to, like, speculation points. Moving forward.
Are we nearing the end?
Yes.
Okay, because because you said this just covers the first third.
Yeah, no, look, this happens.
I meant like the first third of the anime, and I'm just going, and knowing how the anime goes down, I'm like, I have no idea where this is going.
Oh yeah, they have varied wildly from the plot in this.
Oh, okay, so it's not like.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that they vary it widely. I just don't appreciate the poor writing of it.
Yeah, because it sounds horrible.
Like, there are terrible loopholes that, if you take 5 seconds to look at it, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to turn off your brain, you can get past it.
Okay.
Because don't get me wrong, the cinematography is beautiful. It's done well. Like, there's... Like, as Light's, like, running away, we get an entire, like, chase scene of, like, L stealing, like, taking one of the cop cars, like, smashing it into fucking, like, other cars to try to, like, find Light. Because he's still freaking out over Watery's death. Like, he's threatened Light at this point because he's like, you have got to return Watery to me, or I don't know what'll happen.
Oh, so this is a point where he goes off the rails of being normal L.
Oh, yeah, this is completely where he, like, disengages from being normal L.
Is his acting still...
Oh, his acting is still great.
Good?
His acting is still great. He's just, like, dropped the idea of being L anymore.
Okay, and now he's just some crazed lunatic?
More or less. Like, he's still on the side of the cops, but he's just out to kill Kira at this point. Like,
okay. And at this point... Yeah, at this point, he knows Light is Kira.
Yes, he knows Light is Kira. He's managed to whittle it down to, like, he's 99.9% sure it's him.
Okay.
He just hasn't, closed the net around him because he hasn't gotten figured out how he's doing it yet.
Okay.
Like, that's the only reason he's not, called in everyone to catch him right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, there was that whole entire sequence in the series where he was inside of what was essentially a padded cell for, like, months.
Mm-hmm.
And killings were still going on regardless of that.
Oh, so we don't get to see Mia all strapped up and stuff.
Nope.
Okay.
So, anyway.
But is her actress at least cute?
Yes.
Okay.
She's not blonde, she's a brunette, but yes. She's cute.
Okay.
Anyway, we get this chase scene. We get to the point where, like, L corners Light in this back alley, has him, like, basically turning around, and Light's, like, ready to try to explain to him about the Death Note. And somebody, like, comes out from, like, I guess this would be, like, the back of, like, a building or something. Like, maybe, I don't know, like a restaurant or something.
Uh-huh.
Now, keep in mind that Kira's legacy has built up over, I'm assuming, months. Like, some people have said years, I'm assuming months, because that's kind of what I got out of it.
Uh-huh.
El's got the gun trained on Light, and basically says, "Look, I'm with like the Seattle PD. All right, I got this guy. This guy is Kira. All right, just stand back." He turns his attention back to Light. The guy picks up a fucking like 2x4 and beats El over the head with it.
What?
And he delivers the line, "Lord Kira, continue."
What?
So apparently he's one of like the Kira enthusiasts. And
What?
the plot demands it. It must happen.
Wait. What?
Yeah. The plot demands it. It must happen.
Please continue. My mind is beginning to melt.
I don't know who's suffering more, me or you, at this point.
I know. I think both of us are, because you've seen it. You've experienced it firsthand. Me, you explain it to me, and me trying to understand the ununderstandable.
Anyway, he runs out. His plan was to meet Mia at the pier, right? At
Oh
the
yes,
Ferris wheel out there.
yeah. The only things that I do know about it is like a Ferris wheel scene.
Oh yeah. Now,
I know nothing about the Ferris wheel scene. All I do know, it's something like the Ferris wheel breaks and everybody dies,
yeah,
or
you're about to hear exactly what happens. Okay,
okay,
so they both run. FBI still chasing them both. L is kind of knocked out, but I think Light takes the gun with him from L at that point.
the future gun.
The futuristic looking fancy gun, yes.
Okay,
Light gets into one of the booths with Mia and triggers the thing, and then eventually like stares at the gun because he's got it pointing at Mia at one point. He just throws it out into the ocean. So I'm like,
okay.
why? He's like, look, all right, I trust you, all right, I love you, blah blah blah. Just don't take the book from me, okay? That's all I'm asking. Just burn my page. We can work this out together. To which Mia's just like, lol, nope, takes the book. And, like, Light's flabbergasted by this, because he's like, but I thought you loved me. Why didn't you? Because here's what he's done. He's written her name in the book to die if she takes the book from him.
Oh,
And all of a sudden, Mia realizes what's happening. And then we get a view of Ryuk, who's apparently like using his Shinigami powers to somehow break the Ferris wheel and force this shit to happen.
what?
I don't know the way. I don't know if he's just laughing maniacally, waving his hand in the air, or if he's being implied to like be the one like pulling and breaking apart the Ferris wheel.
Hey, all the Shinigami in the house, put your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care. Actually, you might care because you may be manipulating something. Hey.
There's only one Shinigami in the house, though. We never see any others in this movie.
So Ram is not involved.
She is not in this movie. And I don't know how she's gonna be in this movie.
Okay, because maybe it was implied in the ending sequence.
Nope.
Okay.
So, here's how it goes. We see, like, Light barely holding on to the, like, booth he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Barely holding on to Mia to keep her from dropping. All of a sudden, her hand slips and she goes falling. You see the page of the Death Note fall, like, out of Light's, out of her bag that had, like, the, like a chemistry book in it, I think. You see the Death Note go falling. Light loses his grip and goes falling, and all of a sudden we get this slow-mo sequence with the song like "Take My Breath Away" playing. I'm like, really hitting the nail on the head, guys.
Damn it, 80s.
Really hitting that nail hard on the head, padding up this movie longer than it needs to be.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure that's a good like 30 seconds of slow motion falling going on here. Anyway, what ends up happening is Mia dies, as far as we can tell, she is dead because we get a close up of her body. She's not breathing. She's got blood coming out of her mouth and off of her skull.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gruesome, but I'm assuming she's dead from the impact. But she landed in like a flower bin, so I don't know.
Aw, symbolism.
Light falls into the ocean at the end of the pier. We don't know what happens to him. The note falls with him, and we see one little page fluttering down into a burning barrel. And guess what it is?
It's his name.
It's the one page with his name on it. Yeah, how'd you guess?
Plot?
Plot. Also, you're gonna love when I explain why this is happening. So, next thing we see is, like, everybody's just kind of assuming, like, what the hell's going on. We get Elle waking up, like, at the end of this sequence where Light's in the water. We see somebody pull Light out. Or no, we see somebody picking up the Death Note. And, it's some, like, scrubby-looking guy. Maybe homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Takes it and walks away. Next thing we know, we get, like, Light in the hospital. Apparently, like, unconscious. You got the heartbeat monitor going and everything. And you just see, like, the scrubby guy who picked up the Death Note just set it on his, like, bed sheet. And I think we got, like, a 4 days later title, like, card that said that. In between, Light falling in the water and him in the... No, don't worry about it, alright? I'll explain it, because the movie does this right at the end.
Okay.
He sets the thing on Light's chest, and the scrubby guy walks away. Light wakes up then, picks up the Death Note, and tucks it behind his pillow. So,
but he's in a hospital!
Look, alright? Look, don't question it quite yet. I will explain. I will get there.
Suspension of disbelief.
We are at the end of the movie, so we'll get the final bit of explanation. Alright?
Okay.
So, we get a point where Light's father walks in and starts like, look, he finally believes that Light is Kira after the entire movie being like, no, Light is not Kira. He is my son. And he got so pissed off at one point that he was, like, threatening to kill Elle for threatening his son. Now he finally realizes that Elle was right.
Yeah, but did Light's father in Death Note ever, maybe not threaten to kill Elle?
No.
Okay.
He was pissed off about it, but I don't believe he ever threatened to kill Elle over it.
Okay.
Also, his father dies in the anime. Spoilers! As if this fucking thing wasn't entirely done in spoilers. Oh my god. So, we get his father interviewing Turner and basically, like, why'd you do it, blah blah blah. And it's like, how did you survive? And we get this entire thing where apparently, in like the 10 minutes he was running from the FBI, and then the 5 minutes he was in the computer lab, he apparently studied up all these people, and was like, alright, so this is how it works. If Mia takes the note, my page will flutter out and burn. I'll land in the river. I will then be saved by this, like, doctor guy who apparently, raped little children. He fondled women while they were under the gas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this guy will save me, keep me in like a self-induced coma for like 2 or 3 days, I think. This other guy he found online, and this is the guy that diddled children, would find the note, write a certain amount of names in it every day for the next like 4 days, and then return the note to Light in the hospital. That's how it's planned out. And Light wrote all of this in within 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all he had.
Mm-hmm.
Where did he get this intelligence?
But if he did all this, doesn't somebody have to die leading up to those events? Or is the Death Note some magic book?
The doctor walks off the top of the building after his job is done, keeping Light under the coma, and the other guy offs himself, like turns himself into the cops and then offs himself with one of the officer's guns.
Oh, okay, okay.
After that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I breezed past that little bit, but yes, they do still die.
Okay, because I thought like it was some magical event causing Book now, and I'm like, wait, what?
Nope, they die. They still
Okay.
die. But he still figured this plan out in 5 minutes. This is a Light Yagami plan. This isn't a Light Turner plan. He gets a random boost of intelligence at the last quarter of the movie, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? You're not smart. Movie, you've not made this character smart enough
to
figure this shit out.
No, there's one thing that would make total sense. They got pants!
I hate you.
Hey, if you would make the reference, I would.
Oh, I don't. Did he get a level up somewhere?
And I dislike Fairly Odd Parents, but I felt like I just had to make that reference. I'm sorry. Please, continue with your rant, good sir.
That's the worst part. You're not staying with the characters you made. You take L, you build him up the way he's supposed to be built up, and then you derail him completely. You do the same fucking thing with Light, too. You build him up to be, like, just book smart. He's not super, like, intelligent smart the way he is in the series. And then you derail him and make him hyper-intelligent somehow. I hate that part of the movie. I hate it because you destroy their consistency. Oh, I'm not even done yet. So here's the thing: because the other guy was writing names in the Death Note every so often, it threw everybody off as to Light being Kira. So L basically loses his job. If he gets kicked out, he's no longer the detective, and he said the only reason you're not under arrest right now is because of your reputation. Otherwise, I would lock you up and throw away the key. So, L eventually starts putting some of the dialogue that Light gave to him before he was knocked out together. Breaks into Light's room, rips open his algebra book, and finds a page of the Death Note. And here's where the cliffhanger we're left on: is L with a pen in hand, ready to write Light's name on that page of the Death Note.
So it's a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger ending, which is fucking stupid. Because L is sitting there wrestling with whether he wants to kill Light or not. Because now he knows, he's essentially figured out how it works. You can technically take this and build a sequel to it, but I don't know how it's going to work, because you're in a catch-22. Light can die because L has that page. However, if we're going to give Light the Shinigami eyes that he gets in the series, he can kill L.
Light never gets Shinigami eyes.
He does, actually, at one point.
Oh.
I think it's only temporary, but he does get them. But my point is, look, hell, if he wanted to, he could probably just ask Ryu, hey, what's L's name? You've probably seen the guy. You know what he looks like. What's his name? You can see it. They don't explain Shinigami eyes in the movie, so I don't know if they technically exist in the movie. But it's you're in a catch-22. L can just kill Light right now. Where are we going to go with this? Mia, as far as we're aware, and from what we saw of that last section of her, she's dead. Because Light wrote her name in the Death Note. She is dead. She is not getting out of that. Her page was not burned. She's dead. Rem, I have no idea if Rem will show up in the sequel, and if she'll get a Death Note to someone. It sure as hell ain't gonna be Mia. She's gone.
Maybe there'll be some young starlet who will fall in love with Light, and
I mean, you could go that route, but Light's still a good person in this. He's not, some filthy, corrupted piece of shit that he is in the series. Because I don't know if Light's even gonna write anything in the Death Note anymore. Because he was refusing to kill his father. He was refusing to kill the FBI agents. I'm assuming he's just going to keep refusing to kill good people, in which case, where do you go now?
I don't know.
Like, you've thrown the cops off enough, and that doesn't mean they're not going to be led right back to you later.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like, the movie pisses me off so much in so many ways. And yes, I know I shouldn't be comparing it to the anime so hard, but when you're having characters like Light and Light with the same name, when you've already changed other names like Misa to Mia as an homage, why? You could have taken Watari and L. You could have made it any other letter other than like N, I think, who's near in the series,
And M.
and M. So you could have taken like Y or Z or like A or B, C. Who knows? You could have taken any other of those letters, any of the other 23. Get the same story even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But just change the names and people won't compare it so hard.
And maybe this might have been better received because then they wouldn't be comparing it so hard.
Yeah, like last I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, it was at a 25% of people that actually liked it. But yeah, if you would have just changed the names, you probably wouldn't have had so much backlash because these characters are beloved. They're some of the most interesting characters in anime if you really want to get down to it.
Totally agree with you.
And to like drastically change them and to be so inconsistent with them in your own continuity to the point of just like they're obviously not the same people, so why did you keep the same names? It's just going to cause a problem.
But Watery's name is different. In this one, it's actually Watery.
Which
we're
again,
so smart.
I mean, to be fair, that could still work. He could still just be Watery, because again, Watery's not the real name of the character in the series. It could just be, again, an homage to the actual character from the series.
And I've heard there was so many like hidden homages to Death Note. Like when he was in the science room, there was a poster for The World, which was the first opening theme of Death Note. And that's the only one I can remember from the homage video I saw.
Yeah.
So there's so many like hidden things because it's like the people were aware of Death Note. They watched maybe like some super abridged synopsis of it, or they read a super abridged synopsis and be like,
Here's what I think it is, right? We have smart characters here, right? I think what we have are writers who are like, I liked Death Note, I'm going to write something like it. Or I'm going to write my fan fiction of it. Like where the book gets dropped off with somebody else that isn't Light. Or like this would be almost a prequel or even like a sequel to it, if you like. Or if you just want to go down alternate reality where there's like Light Turner out in Seattle that gets the book instead. Like, the point is this could be somebody else that Ryuk has given the book to.
Yeah.
A precursor to him giving it out in Japan. The problem is, like, you have smart characters here, and you don't have writers that are smart enough to figure out and write for them.
Yeah, and I think like that's what made the original series so good. Like each character was like smart in their own way that they could manipulate other people without knowing they're being manipulated. And like I said in the beginning, like L and Light play mental chess with each other all the time. And from what you're saying, it's more like a mental punching match or something that doesn't take much thought.
It's like mental boxing rather than mental chess.
I was thinking about saying boxing, but also boxing takes just a little bit of smarts too to like psych out your opponent into thinking that you're going to be doing something.
Oh, well, they're smart. I'm not going to give them that they're not smart. They're just not hyper intelligent the way they are in the series. You're like taking two chess grandmasters that are going at it in the series, and then you're dumbing it down to about a boxer fighting another boxer.
Checkers. That's
or
a
we
good
can
example.
go with checkers if we want to go with another board game version. Yes. But yeah, that's basically what you're looking at with this series. There are certain points I hate with the writing so much. But if we're gonna talk, it's got its good points. There are certain points in the writing that are like, okay, I like this, but there's a lot more I hate. There was a shit ton more I hate. There are so many possible loopholes that just takes a little bit of thought to be like, that doesn't make sense or that doesn't work. There's a little bit of like the cinematography, the way it's shot is beautiful. It is really well done. The chase scene, if this wasn't a Death Note movie and you didn't know that and you just saw it randomly while you're walking by, it's great. It is a great chase scene. Like even the stupid ass 2x4 to the back of the head, just for comedic effect, that is good.
Okay.
But then we get into the loopholes and shit, and it's just it falls apart on itself. Yes, on its and this is just looking at it on its own. This isn't me looking at it with this like compared to the anime. It doesn't hold its own water. It's like I have a glass. There's a hole in like halfway up the glass. Half my water's gone. I've kind of got like half a glass sitting here now. That's basically the way this is.
So it's bad, but has its own merits that, if watched by itself, is a good movie.
I would say yes. Like for an Americanized version of a series, for an Americanized version of a series, it works. It's got its own merits, but for someone that's watched the anime, only watch it if you're morbidly curious, or if you want to have a good laugh at how stupid it can be.
And if somebody who's never seen the series, they can enjoy it more, right?
Probably, if you can ignore the loopholes in the movie's own logic.
Yeah, because I think Ryan, he said that he saw Death Note, like the movie, and now he's inspired to watch the anime because he's never seen the anime.
He'll be blown away at A, how different it is, and B, just how much more hyper intelligent the two characters are. Because, like, the end of the movie ends with L still alive. Like, this L doesn't even die yet.
Spoiler!
If you didn't realize this was a spoiler by now, then you got a problem. Like, that's the thing, though, because it's like, well, I don't know exactly where this ends, which is why I say somewhere in around a third of the series is probably at, because L isn't dead. So unless he dies fairly early in the next movie, if it's ever made, I don't know if they're going to drastically change it so that it's just L and Light going back and forth. I don't know if Nier will ever show up. Let alone, Rem,
Mallow,
and anyone that comes on later on in the series. I have no idea how they're going to continue it. And by leaving you off on a cliffhanger like that, you've pretty much sentenced anyone that ever watches it to just question a lot if it doesn't get a sequel.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that was my rant view. I think I am out of energy.
We may have to split this into two chunks because this has been about 90-ish minutes.
It's only been about an hour and a quarter, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it's fine to go off like this.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that's good enough, guys. Just If you're interested, go watch it, but brace yourselves for problems. See ya.
Bye.